Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about relaxation. Let's do a relaxation first. I want to teach you a quick relaxation, and then we're going to talk about the whole issue of relaxation. Before we get started doing that, let me encourage you to think about a time in your life that was a glowing moment. You know, like the day you got married, our wonderful date, our love affair, a vacation, and think about that moment. Think about how you felt, what your face must have looked like, what your body felt like. Let that kind of go all over you. You know, if you were telling that story to a very personal friend and you were going into great detail about what you were experiencing, you would begin to feel that feeling again. And so, go through it, absorb it, feel it again as much as you can throughout your body. Now, I'm going to get back to this as a concept a little later on in this session, but what we're developing is a concept. You're getting a picture in your head of a feeling, a time, a moment, so that you can tell your brain something you want to tell your brain. And at this moment, we want to tell your brain that you're okay. And it's okay to relax. Because my guess is that if you had a great moment, it's not when you felt unsafe or that you were having trouble. So it was a time that you felt safe and relaxed and peaceful. So think of that moment when we're stressed. What we feel, what we experience is tension in our shoulders, tension in our body. Now the reason we do that is that our body is getting ready to run, getting ready to fight, protect ourselves. Our eyes squint tight. Now, the reason for that is to check our vision. So, you know, if someone said, you see that way out there, that, you know, you kind of squint and look out there. So you're trying to get your vision focused and tunneled down on what it is that you're stressed about. So we squint. We're going to tighten our jaw. The reason for that is we're getting our muscles ready, you know, to bite and fight. We breathe up here in our chest. There are short bursts of breathing. It's not full breaths from the stomach. And the reason for it is that if you ever had a bellows, you know the bellows gets the fire going. And the bellows, it puts out air, but intense air. When you're trying to start a fire, instead of you have a strong breeze, you want short little bursts of air, got more oxygen in it. And that's what our body is needing. So we're breathing up here in shorter breaths to pump oxygen into our system. This is all getting ready to go to be in a stressful situation and to protect ourselves. If you're not needing, like maybe right now, you're not needing to be stressed, then this is what you do to relax. You want to ask yourself number one, you want to ask yourself if you are in trouble. If the answer is yes, well, let everything go. You need to be stressed. If the answer is no, take a big breath. Think of that great glowing moment. Let it come over you. Remember it. And when you do so, you're going to smile with your eyes, and you loosen your jaw. And you're going to blow that air out just gently, like you're blowing on a spoon of hot soup. Let it out. And as you let it out, think about this big old white ostrich feather floating down. And as that feather floats down, let the rest of yourself come down. So, here we go. First thing, are you in trouble? No. Take a big breath. Remember that great moment. Feel as much as you can. And when you do, you're going to smile with your eyes, and you're going to loosen your jaw, and you're going to let that air out, and think of this feather floating down, and as it does, you're going to let the other parts of your body go down. This is a physiological way of saying no sweat. Now you do that a couple of times. I do this often. I use this technique more than I use any technique, and I use every technique that I'm teaching you in this program. If it doesn't work for me, I don't teach it. And this one really worked for me. I use it all the time. Now, I use it when I have like a list of things that I wanted to get done that day, and maybe for whatever reason, I wasn't able to get through that list. And so I'm being hounded that I didn't get through the list. I'm hounding myself. I'm saying, no sweat. The world's not going to come to an end. You're not in trouble. We have a tendency to kind of create a trouble for ourselves. You know, our system is not really set up well for psychological stress. We're set up for physical stress. The rattlesnake there, you know, it wasn't, 2, maybe 3 generations? For me, it was 2. My family was on the farm. They lived by what they grew, what they went out and hunted. And you go back another generation, for sure, they are out there in the elements. And so when our forefathers, they lived with more physical stress and threat than they did psychological. And our body is set up to deal with that, not the psychological. If you've got a rattlesnake after you, well, you know when it's there. You see it. And when it's gone, if you've killed it, if you've gotten away from it, whatever, it's very clear that it's gone. And your system will settle back down. You'll go into a relaxed state. Now, if we live with psychological issues, kind of like that list I mentioned just a minute ago, that I didn't make it through the list. Oh, I got my garage maybe cleaned and maybe I paid a bill or something. But I have a couple of 3 other things I wanted to do. And being a pusher, I'm, and a doer, I feel like I ought to get them all done today. So I'm dunning myself about that. Well, that's psychological stress. And my body's going to respond to it in the same way as it responds to a rattlesnake. My body's going to tighten up, and my brain is going to claim that I'm in trouble. Now, if you remember, we talked about the thalamus. And that if you tell the thalamus that you're in trouble, it's just going to fire. And when it fires, you're going to have pain, greater pain. So you don't want to tell it something that's not true. So today, tomorrow, this afternoon, if you're not in trouble, quickly go through what I call the feather technique. Take a breath, think of that great time. Smile with your eyes, loosen your jaw, think of the feather, and relax. Sometimes I have to do that a couple of 3 times just to say, no sweat, life will go on. I don't have to finish that list. I got till tomorrow. I use it when I'm in a stressful situation. I can use it right before a stressful situation, during a stressful situation, or after one. For instance, while I've been in here and we've been talking about this, I've done it 2 times. So you can do it with your eyes open. It works. The other way that you might use it is if you're just trying to get some things off your mind if you want to sleep. It's good anytime that you're thinking of changing of your mood. You realize your mood has changed, your thinking has changed, maybe your pain level, and you're going, no sweat, let's just calm down here. Because as you know, as our pain level changes, whether it's the weather, whatever, it doesn't have to be something we do, it could be the weather changing. But our system will see that as an alarm, and we have to tell our system and calm ourselves. We have to calm that sick part. We have to love the hurt part. And one of the ways of doing that is just saying, you're okay. You're not in trouble. Yeah, your pain's going up. Or yeah, this is happening. But the world is not coming to an end. Relax. Now, what is relaxation? Relaxation is not like watching a football game on a Saturday afternoon. Relaxation is not a tailgate party. Relaxation definitely is not a vacation. There may be some relaxing moments in that, but relaxation is a maintenance program, particularly for those of us who have pain. It's not like saying you're going to practice dancing. Dancing is something you do at a particular time. Relaxation is what you live with and that you monitor all the time. That's why this is a very important topic for those of us who have pain. So when you wake up in the morning, you want to do an inventory. You want to decide where you sit. What is your mood? What's your thinking like? And then sometimes there is that sense of, being wired, crazy, frazzled, where you just think that, you're juggling everything in your head and you're feeling tense. And the important thing there is to begin to pay attention to what is causing, what's going on, what your thinking is. We talked about how to deal with thoughts, and how to deal with worries. But you need to catch those thoughts. How you do that? Well, when I begin to feel kind of churned up, I start paying attention to what I've been doing and what I've been thinking. So I kind of look back at the trail I've been following. And so I may realize that I got a cup of coffee at Kmart and I didn't like the coffee. I usually do. And that I was listening to something on the radio and that kind of ticked me off. They were talking about the compensation for bankers. And then I get home, let's say, and walk by and I see our electric bill sitting on a counter, and I feel it registers, and I'm, kind of churned about it. If I start looking back, could it be that I am angry about finances or something about finances? A lot of you have your careers have been curtailed, are changed or limited or stopped altogether right now. So finances is a big issue. But there's other things, in terms of belonging and security. But the whole range of emotions is possible that would churn us up. But what I'm talking about is just kind of following what you're thinking. And getting a trail, kind of like a Sherlock Holmes that's going through and checking what your thinking is and trying to decide what's the theme here. And maybe that is the theme. And if it is that the thought? Am I worried, let's say, using my example, am I worried about my finances? Well, let's say I am. Is that real? Now think about that worry chart. Is that real? Is it realistic for me to be worrying about finances? Well, yeah, it might be realistic. Well, do I have any control over it right now? That's in the third column of the worry chart. Do I have any control over it? No. They send me a check, or they don't send me a check, then, and I've got certain bills to pay, and that's the way it is until things change. I don't really have control in whether that changes, but what do I have control over? Well, I might budget. I could do this or I could do that. And then the last thing is a policy statement. And so I could write a policy of, I'm worrying about finances, but I really don't have control over the amount of money I have. But I can, maybe not buy so many processed foods. I can buy less paper goods, things that are expensive I don't have to have. Maybe I'll get rid of, Showtime on the cable. I can do some of those things. Maybe I buy less coffee at Kmart. I can cut back that way. So I have a policy. Now the policy protects me. We've already talked about this, but the policy, when I start worrying like that, I already got a policy that protects me. The other review you want to do in the morning and throughout the whole day is, where are my tense? Do I feel the tension in my back? Feel it in the neck? Where in my body am I tense? Where am I feeling this stress? So if you're feeling it wherever you're feeling it, then you can go to work in relaxing that. That's why listening to the tapes that we've included in this package is good for you to do, because as you practice this, you're going to get used to your muscles being relaxed. And so when they start getting tense, then you're you know it. You realize it. And then you can monitor it. Because before I started practicing relaxation, as I do right now, I didn't know that my neck stayed so tight. And you might not either. It may surprise you how much tension you carry on a regular basis. So as you relax for a while and practice that, then you begin to realize, wait a minute, that is tense. So that you can start relaxing those muscles. Now, there is an issue of permission that I want to talk about before we go on. Permission is difficult for us doers to give ourselves. How many of you have been practicing the relaxation twice a day? It's included in the package that you purchased, you've received. How many of you have done it twice a day? Think about it. Now think about what got in the way, what got involved that kept you from doing that. Probably good reasons. It's just like us doers to put ourselves last. Permissions is consciously giving us the right to do something good for ourselves and preparing it. So giving yourself permission to relax means first finding a time that you're not going to be disturbed. Preparing a place, like in your bedroom. Preparing a time, like when the kids are gone, or in the evening so that somebody can watch the kids, or a place away from the television set so that you would have the time and the quietness to relax. Finding that time, finding that place, and giving yourself an okay not to have to get up and go attend to things. So permission means asking yourself, is there anything I've got to keep my mind on? Anything I've got to stay conscious of? If there is something you're going to need to keep your mind on and stay conscious, this is not a time to relax. I mean, if you're not feeling safe, don't relax. What you do is find a time that it's okay, that you don't have to think of anything. Then you want to ask yourself, is it okay not to attend to certain noises outside this room? Is it okay not to attend to certain noises inside this room? You know, houses crack and creak and different things, but we don't have to open our eyes up and go check on every one of them. So give yourself permission not to attend. Unless it is a danger signal, then you need to do that. But other than that, you know, the phone ringing, some, you know, a noise in the back bedroom, whatever it is, you don't have to attend to that. That is what I call permission. And that you can give yourself that 15, 20 minutes to relax. Now, relaxation and permissions involves choice. And as I said, choosing a time and a place for yourself. It also involves developing a concept when it comes to pain and pain reduction. Developing a concept of what the pain feels like to you. And a concept is an idea of whatever it feels like. It resembles what's going on in your body. A mental model of how it's functioning, what's causing this pain. For instance, someone might say, well, my pain feels like there's a knife stuck in my back. Some people feel like, well, it feels like there's a hand on my spine and it's being twisted. I feel a lot of 1,000 needles stuck in my leg. All of those are concepts. And you remember when we did the relaxation, the feather technique? Well, your memory was a concept. It was a picture that you know well, and you know what the feelings are. Concepts is what your brain understands the most. You know, when you learned what CAT meant, your teacher had a picture of one up on the wall. Now, we all know that a picture is worth 1,000 words. The best books are the ones that paint the best pictures. Visual pictures. So our brain functions. You know, words just tell us and remind us of pictures that go on in our head. If we develop a picture, a concept of what is going on with us, what our back feels like, what our shoulders, our neck, our body, our joints feel like. And this is a process. It just won't come to you. But as you develop the idea of what it feels like, what it resembles to you, what it feels like is going on, that's very important because it's a main line to the brain. The brain understands it. For instance, if I were to dream of playing ping pong, if they hooked me up to a real sensitive machine, they would learn that this right hand that I was dreaming of playing a ping pong with was very active. The electrical energy running through this arm would be much higher than it is in this arm. If I was dreaming of running, the muscles I would use to run are going to be activated. The muscles I would not use would not be activated. What is that saying? What is a dream? You know, it's a mental picture. And so if you have a mental picture of playing ping pong, your brain knows exactly where you're playing. Brain knows I'm right-handed. I got a picture in my brain of me standing there playing ping pong with whoever. And so the brain is activating this arm, but not that. So it's localized, you see. For example, think about a big lemon. Now, take that lemon, just feel that, all of those bumps on that lemon. You know, you can kind of get a little smell of it. And take it and roll it on a table, you know. And you can kind of see that it comes off on your table there. And you roll it on your table and it gets softer and softer. And then you can take the knife and you can cut it and the spray comes out a little bit, but boy, that smell. And you can take half of that. You know, you can smell it. And then you can just take half of that and just squeeze it right in your mouth. Now, some of you who are really getting into this are going to feel your glands, your saliva glands, activating. Or in your mouth will go like that. Now, that happens to me when I do that, particularly when I relax and do it and visualize it. Now again, it's localized. My toes are not curling up. It's my mouth that's doing that. It's localized. So if you're thinking of a place in your back that hurts, if you're thinking a place in your neck or your arm or your elbow, your hands that hurt, your brain knows where it is. So it's localized. And then as you develop that picture, whatever it is, doesn't matter. You know, this is coming out of your brain. And if you develop that picture about what's going on, then you want a change in it. You decide what makes sense to you. Not to anybody else, but to you. What makes sense if I change that picture a bit? How could I change that picture to make me feel a little more comfortable, make the pain less? For instance, using the examples I've used before, you got a knife in your back. Well, what can you do? Well, you can slowly pull that knife out, or you can turn that knife into rubber, or you can make the knife dull, or you can make the knife smaller. There's a lot of things you can do, things I haven't even mentioned. So, you know, a hot pain can be cooled. A sharp pain can be dulled. There's just whatever is going on in your mind. Now, this is a process, something that can be developed. But it's the concept, you see. This is a very powerful technique that will tell your brain what you want it to do, and it will happen. For some of you who practice this, you're going to find a pretty nice change rather rapidly. Some of us take a little longer. We're not as skillful in imagining and concentrating and getting involved in this style. But it's practice. Everybody has the skill to do it. But it just takes practice. And so if you relax just a little bit, if you feel that change come about just a little bit, celebrate it. You know, like what we were talking about one day, about having a baby in your arms and the squall, you know, the colicky baby that's kicking and pulling, and the minute you feel them let up just a little bit, you celebrate that. You know, at 2, 3 in the morning, you celebrate that. Well, it doesn't matter when it is. When you relax just a little bit, celebrate it. When your pain changes just a little bit, celebrate it, because acknowledge that. Because that's going to go down into your can-dos, and then you can build on that. Now, some of you may just have one of these runaway brains. I've had people tell me, you know, Dr. Hawkins, I can't relax. Every time I start to relax, my brain is going so fast. Well, and if that's so, let me give you a technique that worked for me. I learned it several years ago, and it just happened to be at one of these bed and breakfasts that leave their books out, and I grabbed a book one morning and was looking through it, and there was this technique in it. And I started doing it. And it worked. It calmed my runaway brain. And this is what you do. Every morning, you relax. Try to get relaxed as fast as you can. You don't have to be, take the 20-minute relaxation thing, but just, as I've said before, relaxation is a matter of memory as much as it is an event. So when you do relax, listening to the tapes, you want to develop a concept. And my concept is feeling like a mop. Sometimes I feel like a boneless chicken, but we won't get into that. The idea is the concept. And when you develop a concept and you can call that concept up, you're telling your brain what you want it to do. So if it is, when I want to relax, I think about feeling like an old mop. And or a balloon that is just out of air. And that tells my brain that I want it to relax. Then I take some big breaths. So after I've relaxed, this is what I do to start calming the brain. I'm going to think of just my breathing. Either the sound of my breathing or the feeling of my chest moving up and down. That's all I'm going to think about. Now, thoughts are going to come through my brain. And I'm going to be pulled out to check them. And that's okay. Once I check them, I let them go. And I come back thinking of nothing but my breathing, either the sound or the movement. And I do that for 5 minutes. Now let me tell you, 5 minutes is a long time when you're doing that, because that is initially it's quite a chore. And really the people who practice this, that live on top of a Tibetan mountain, can only do it for like 20 seconds. So none of us are going to be at that level. But if we practice, what we're saying to our brain by letting it go by is, it's okay. We don't have to juggle everything at the same time. Because when we get through with this, we can go down and get those other thoughts and deal with them. The analogy I use is there's a park here in Oklahoma I go to that's got a stream maybe about 2 or 3 foot deep. And it's got some really interesting rocks in it. And I stand on shore sometimes, I'm looking, or maybe I'm wading around in it, and I'm looking at the rock at the bottom. Well, as I'm looking at this most interesting rock, leaves float by. Well, I can recognize that that's a leaf, but I just let it go by because I'm looking at this rock. So thoughts or leaves come by, and I'm continue. I don't go follow them all the way down the stream. I'm going to recognize them, and I'm going to let them go. We'll do that for 5 minutes. Now, I know that at the end of 5 minutes, I can go down there and get all of those leaves, those interesting ones I wanted. Or at home, I can go and get those thoughts again. And I can deal with them then. But right now, I don't have to. And again, what are we doing? We're telling our brain that it doesn't have to juggle so much, so it can calm. Or it's juggling all of these things because we feel like in the past we had to keep a lot of things to stay safe. And you don't have to do that today, because today is a little different than it was years ago. So practice calming the brain. And you'll find that you can get deeper and deeper into your relaxation. So today what we've talked about is monitoring 24/7 how you're doing. Don't let that tension stay in there. You don't want that information going to your brain that you're in trouble. And if you're tight, your brain's just going to get that. Of course, Also, if you're tight, you know, if you ever had a sore thumb and you squeezed it, it's going to hurt it more. And so if you've got a hurt back, hurt neck, and your muscles are tight, it's just going to hurt more. So we need to calm those. Keep calm. Keep a sense of safety and calmness. And I don't mean laid back and comatose, but I'm talking about maintaining a relaxed state. And it does involve constant maintenance, constant paying attention about how you're doing. But it's worth it. So practice this relaxation and enjoy the experiences that you're going to have. And I'll see you next time. I'm Dr. Hawkins. See you then.